Now, when was the Arab invasion of Egypt? 639 AD. Cleopatra lived way before the invasion of the Arabs in 639 AD. Black folks was in Africa. Black folks was running a lot of kingdoms in their own homeland. If anybody trying to take history, it's the Arabs. Why are you trying to steal our history? Netflix was right. Cleopatra was a black woman. But I also want to pay attention to something. Why do you have a problem with the black woman playing Cleopatra because you stole black people's history, but you never had a problem with Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra, a white woman?
Hi, for the lady that said, we don't care what you've learned in the schools, Cleopatra was black. Well, we do not care back. We do not care what is your agenda. We do not care what you are promoting for. Egyptians were never black. We can see this before our own eyes here and now. If you think that you not giving a damn about the facts will change anything, we do not care. We do not care. We actually don't care. What you're thinking about never concerns us.
Egyptians are now being called out as racists, just because they are attacking the new Netflix documentary that is faking history by portraying ancient Egyptians and Queen Cleopatra as black. Despite the fact that Queen Cleopatra was of Macedonian origins, which definitely denies the fact that she was black. But why no one ever mentioned that faking history, blackwashing it, and stealing someone's identity is a kind of racism too?
Alright guys, so we got to talk about Netflix's woke Cleopatra docu-series that is generating a whole lot of controversy because, once again, we have Netflix race-swapping characters or historical characters as a way to virtue signal, and it's really pissing people off because people are getting sick and tired of the double standard that is so prevalent in our society when it comes to this issue of race swapping, okay? Because people know that if you race swap out a so-called person of color for a white person or a lighter skinned person, there's gonna be a whole lot of backlash, right? That's just unacceptable. You can't do that. However, between Disney, Netflix, a whole lot of these other woke media companies, they have no issues race swapping out historically white characters or white characters, originally white characters, and making them so-called people of color. And it's really pissing people off, okay? People are getting sick and tired of the double standard and the virtue signaling wokeness. And people are expressing their frustration with Netflix by basically giving the new Queen Cleopatra series the worst audience score in television history. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Cleopatra, she was the queen of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt. She was the last of the Hellenistic rulers over Egypt. The Hellenistic period basically being from Alexander the Great to Cleopatra, who ruled Egypt from, I believe, 50 BC to like 30 or 31 BC or something like that. But yeah, she was basically the last of the Greek rulers of Egypt. And after her death, it brought in the rulership of the Roman Empire in Egypt. Okay. And it's commonly accepted that she was of Macedonian, primarily Greek, right, descent, and had a little bit of Iranian in her as well, too. That is the commonly accepted scholarly explanation of her lineage, of her race. However, Netflix decided that they were going to go super woke and that they're going to make Queen Cleopatra black. Okay, they're going to make her a black African queen. Okay, they took the word African and essentially said, you know what, we're going to make her black. And people are pissed off with this because, once again, this is just an example from Hollywood of their hypocrisy when it comes to this issue of race swapping. Well, first and foremost, again, they're trying to pass off a historically accurate docuseries as, again, if it's factual, right? And essentially they're trying to erase whiteness from history, because again, if you guys have ever seen Macedonian people or Greek people, some of them can be, dark skinned ish, but for the most part, they're pretty light skinned. Okay, they're pretty light skinned to white. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that chances are that Cleopatra was not a dark-skinned black African lady, right? I'm just saying, I personally don't give a damn about her race, okay? Just like I really don't care about the race of Jesus, okay? They have a big debate about that as well, too. But was Jesus actually black, okay? Or was Jesus white? I personally think that most likely Jesus was probably similar looking to the people that live in the region today, right? He probably looked like an Arab, okay? And Arabs range from dark to very light, okay? So I'm just saying, this is a never-ending conversation and controversy, and we all know what Netflix is doing here, okay? They're trying to score woke virtue signal points, right, in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, by essentially trying to blackwash history. And the problem with this is that this is so unnecessary, because they were actually, or allegedly they were, okay, and people can fact check me on this if you think I'm wrong, there were actually, black dynasties, like, for example, the 25th dynasty of Egypt, okay, that ruled Egypt. They were Nubian, okay, Kushnites. Why don't you just use them, right? You could have told that story, made them black, and there would have been less controversy, right? I don't understand what is the point of doing this when you actually have some material that you can work with. But again, Hollywood is uncreative, they're unimaginative, and because of that, they're suffering the consequences, as Netflix's Queen Cleopatra has literally the worst audience score in TV history. Okay, so it is like the lowest scored TV show in history, okay, of Rotten Tomatoes, right? I mean, at one point it had a 1% audience score. Now it's up to 2%, and the reviews are just absolutely devastating, right? It is getting absolutely destroyed, okay? They have the worst reviews in history. So we're going to read a little bit of these reviews to give you guys an idea of people's complaints. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about these controversy, because again, of course, you have people crying racism here because of the criticism that this show is receiving. One of the reviews says, I just watched it and it was so bad. All I can do is laugh and cry because how inaccurate it was. They made Cleopatra the seventh a warrior. First of all, she was a warrior. And also, I forgot on how many times they said their opinion and ideas about Cleopatra 7 when it was supposed to be historically accurate. Brandon P says, not nearly as bad as a lot of people have made it out to be. I like the balance of historical commentary and acted dramatizations that brought the history to life. Portraying Cleopatra as a woman of mixed heritage may have been speculative on the filmmaker's part, but given the gaps they pointed out in her genealogical record, I don't think it's as unjustified as a lot of these armchair historians have made it out to be. That said, I did find the actor's British accents a little distracting. Come on, couldn't you have gotten the Roman characters to sound Italian and Egyptian characters more, well, whatever ancient Egyptians could have sounded like? Absolute dribble. James was a great actor, but nothing rings true. And since it's a docudrama, it's essentially being marketed as truth, but sadly, it's far from, both in parts relating to Cleopatra's sister, and also they ignore that it's considered fact that she is Macedonian, not African, as she was a daughter of the Ptolemaic dynasty. The mere fact of being classified as a documentary and not providing a real image attached to what science says caused it to deserve the lowest rating. If you like bad acting, this is your thing. I love historical documentaries, but this was painful to watch last night. Also, the narrator was awful. No idea why they picked someone who sounded so nail-grating that it ruined anything going on. A majority of the scenes were just poorly written. Also, the scenes did not merge well with all of the academic people speaking. There is no fluidity to the scenes at all. Poorly done. This could have been great, but I don't know who made this, but they should be fired. Yeah, so as you can see here, it's getting destroyed, right? It's getting absolutely destroyed in the reviews, okay? People are not liking what they're seeing from this Netflix documentary, okay? And the backlash is international here, right? Is people in Egypt are pissed about this, right? So pissed that an Egyptian lawyer is actually suing Netflix, right? Calling the documentary, or the docuseries, the docudrama, a forgery, right? It's a forgery. Okay, it's a forgery. That's what they're saying. They're trying to get Netflix basically kicked out of Egypt because they're not displaying the accurate portrayal of Queen Cleopatra. Now, the actress that they hired to play Cleopatra is Adele James, okay, who is a black actress. And of course, just like all of these actresses that are cast into these race swap roles, she is crying racism in response to the backlash she's receiving. Take a look.
No, I mean, it would be naive of me to say that I didn't expect anything at all, but I didn't expect the scale of it. And I think it's distressing for anybody to receive any level of abuse, let alone the scale and the nature of what I've received, which is fundamentally racist, all of it. But, you know, I think the thing is, people are talking about the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't know where her mother was from or her paternal grandmother, but also the show is about so much more than the question mark over her race. If you watch it, it's a very small part of the conversation. Really, this is about the fullness of who this woman was, and she was a human being, and she shouldn't be reduced to her race any more than I should or anybody should.
Yeah. So again, this is absolutely amazing, okay? And the reason why it's amazing is because we've seen time and time again how the woke revolutionaries would respond if the roles were reversed, okay? If you took a black character, an originally black character, or historical figure, and you made them white, these people will lose their minds. Like, for example, the Lilo and Stitch movie, okay? There's a live action version of that being made, and one of the characters, Nani, who I believe is Lilo's older sister, again, this is a fictional story here, it's a fictional story. They took her and they casted her character with a light-skinned Hawaiian chick. Now, Nani is a darker skin, like, you know, I guess Hawaiian, Polynesian, whatever the race is, right? But from a racial perspective, Disney cast it accurately, right? They actually took a person that is racially similar to the original character, but she's just light-skinned. And the wokes lost their mind because they said, well, she's not dark enough, right? She needs to be darker, even though Disney accurately casted her from a racial perspective. Now, these are the same people, okay, who said it was racist to criticize the woke Little Mermaid, right? Who they took the Little Mermaid, who was originally a white character, and they made her black, right, in the live action version. People got upset. They said, yo, we don't like race swapping, right? And people say that, well, if you don't like race swapping, then you're racist. So Disney, right, cast Nani, a darker skinned character, as lighter skinned, and the same people that complain about people complaining about race swapping being racist, complained about Disney casting a dark skinned character as a light actress. Again, it's just absolutely hilarious because the hypocrisy is stunning. We all know that these people will be losing their minds if they casted Ryan Gosling as the Black Panther, right? Or if they made Blade white, okay? But again, you're not supposed to complain when you take historically lighter skin or white or European characters and you make them black. Again, they didn't even make Cleopatra Egyptian, right? They didn't even try to get close. They're just like, no, we're just gonna make her a black woman. Again, I think people have the right to complain and say, hey, you know what? Maybe these shows should try to stick with historically accurate representations of characters, especially if you're trying to pass it off as somewhat historically accurate. Okay, it's truth. And I said this before and I'll say it again. I know how to end race swapping in Hollywood. All you need is one major Hollywood production company or studio just to make a movie about the civil rights era and just make MLK white, right? Make MLK a white man, make Malcolm X a white man, and then just watch the woke revolutionaries lose their mind, right? Watch them lose their minds, okay, and complain about how bad race swapping is, how you shouldn't do it. That would end all race swapping, right? Furthermore, nobody would ever be able to race swap again because of how big of a controversy that would be. It would be the biggest boom or bust project ever, okay? That movie is going to make a whole bunch of money or it ain't going to make no money, okay? But I'm just saying, make MLK white, make Malcolm X white, watch the woke revolutionaries melt down. Because sometimes in order to point out the silliness, okay, of some of the stuff that the wokes believe in, you got to take it to the extreme. Just give them what they want, right? They want race swapping. They were cool with the Little Mermaid being race swapped. They're cool with this. All right, cool. Let's race swap all historically black characters and figures in history. Let's just make them white. since that's what y'all want to do, right? I'm just saying, sometimes you got to go to the extreme to show these people how ridiculous some of the things that they advocate for really are. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.